Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Locked In podcast. This is episode number 5 today.
Yes.
And, Jared, we got two special guests with us. Would you care to introduce them?
Yeah, okay. We'll go ahead and go to my left here and just introduce everybody.
I'm Roger Strong. Denny Bigley. Cowboy Denny.
Cowboy Denny, baby. Yeah, just in case everybody, a little bit different demographic here this evening than what we've done in the past. Probably has some people wondering. So basically, when we opened up the facility down here in London in 2018, March of 2018, I had seen a program for Parkinson's patients, right? Utilizing boxing for Parkinson's patients, and that's one of the top activities at that time that they recommended for Parkinson's sufferers, and that along with the walking with the ski poles so you don't lose the upper end range of motion in your shoulders. I had seen that, and a lot of what they do is like big crowds and what have you. It's really a lot of low end as far as the skill level, low end boxing. So me being me, I had seen the training they were doing, and I thought in my mind, I didn't say this to anybody, but I thought I could do that, and I could do it a lot better than what they're doing, right? So no sooner, when you have a thought like that, a lot of times you get called on it. So no sooner than I thought that, about a week later, I had my first Parkinson's guy show up as an appellate court judge, actually, retired, Judge Dyke. And I thought, well, now I got to put my money where my mouth's at. So now we've been doing that for 6 years now. We've had him for 6 years. I think Denny's coming up on 5. We may already be at 5, right?
Yeah, I've already passed 5.
5 years. So Denny actually is a Parkinson's, we could say, survivor.
Yeah.
And then the boxing training not only benefits Parkinson's sufferers, but anybody's got any kind of neurological issue. The brain is capable, actually, of moving neurons around to create those neuromotor pathways. So, actually, Roger here actually suffered a stroke, okay? And we'll get to him. But that's the purpose of this episode. It's not just up until now we've been talking about competition boxing. And
right.
Who would you like to box? Who do you want to see box? But one of the great benefits of it is people that don't have any aspiration to box, but as we get a little bit older, we had Gene on here that was a retired boxer. Now he's just trying to be in some shape, right? Best version of himself at 67, I think, Gene.
Yeah.
So I want to start with Denny here because he's got a very unique story. Denny's a cowboy. And he's also a Vietnam veteran, Army vet, right?
Army vet.
Runs or oversees Faith Christian Camp.
At one time, yes.
Yeah, at one time. And I met Denny in church. And what I would do is he would put that cowboy hat up, and I'd move it 2 inches to the left, and it's sitting on the coat rack. Then the next week I'd move it 2 inches to the right? And he'd come out there just befuddled that he didn't put that hat there, and he finally caught me, right? Busted me. But I wanted to share your story first. So, raised where?
Raised in Lee County, Beattyville, Kentucky. Born and raised. Had an insurance business in Breathitt County, Jackson, Kentucky, for 34 years. At age 42, I got up one morning and I had cancer. My left kidney had to be removed. It was as big as a football with a tumor on it. It metastasized to my head. I had one in front of my head, one in front of over the eyebrow, and one in the back. They were removed. The one in the back was removed the conventional way, just opening it up. The one in front was done by a gamma knife treatment. Just shot laser radiation in there and killed it. Then later on in 2000, I had they found one more in my chest, tumor. So I was blessed. I got through that, survived cancer, and I had no chemotherapy or radiation. And I've got two daughters and 5 grandkids, and very active in the horse world.
Hey, let's back up though just a second. So you're raised in Lee County.
Yeah.
So Vietnam's going on. How old are you? You get drafted?
18 years old. I got my draft number, and it was number 3, and they're taking 75.
Yeah, number
that
3.
Week.
Oh, wow.
That's when they had the lottery. They draw numbers.
So they get yours, and you know number 3. I'm gone.
I went ahead and joined.
You went ahead and joined up, right?
Joined
Get a
up,
little bit preference. So you're in the Army.
Yeah.
And what was your MOS?
76Y40 and the 76Y30, armor and supply.
Okay.
So I was a supply sergeant for the 101st and the 100th Division, both.
So 18 years old, going from, and did you get sent immediately to Vietnam?
No, I had a year's training for.
Okay, but 18 years old, you grow up in Lee County.
Yeah.
Right. You get drafted, and then you go to basic where?
At Fort Campbell.
Fort Campbell.
Fort
From
Campbell.
there you go.
From there I flew out and went to Fort Lee, Virginia, to quartermaster school. Then I went to Fort Polk, Louisiana after that for infantry training, which I was blessed. I never did have to use that much because I ran a supply room.
Right. So then you go from there.
But there's some nasty stuff, The whole deal is there's just it was a rough time. A lot of solvents and cleaning supplies we had. Then of course there was Agent Orange and a lot of guys, including myself, got cancer out of the deal.
You wonder if that played a role.
I was just about to ask that question. Do you think some of the health problems you had later on in life was definitely a result from that?
Parkinson's and cancer. I think the Army caused both of them.
So were you ever deployed out of country?
No.
Okay, so you ended up being the supply. So you're shipping the supplies out.
Shipping them, bringing them back, and cleaning them, getting them ready to go back.
Right.
And so we use that stuff like it was water. It got all these contaminants in it and chemicals.
Right. Had you ever even been out of state?
I was going to say, I smiled a while ago. I'd never been away from home.
Right.
I'd never stayed out away from home when I was 18 years old. And when I laid down in the bunk that night at Fort Campbell, a big tear run down my eyes. I could just smell home. I wanted to go home.
Right.
But
and no internet at this time, right?
No internet.
So you can't.
You had 10
word of
minutes.
mouth.
Had 10 minutes to use the phone. There was a 20-minute line in front of you, so you didn't get to use your phone much. 10 minutes. That caught me back up now, and then I sold insurance. I was a natural with.
So when you came out of the military, did you go into insurance then?
Went in the insurance business then.
Okay.
But were you commercial or residential?
Life and health.
Life,
I sold
okay.
residential autos and homeowners and
Well,
property and casualty.
Did you work for one of the big insurance companies?
I was with an insurance company called Commonwealth Life Insurance out of Louisville, but later on now they sold to Transamerica. So Transamerica is where my retirement comes from.
Right. So you go into that, and then you said at 42 you got diagnosed with
42.
cancer?
I got up one morning passing blood clots.
Okay.
A urine, and I had cancer. So that was I was 42. So that was 1995. In 97 they found the ones in my head. In 2000 the one in my chest. In 1997 I froze my retirement and quit the insurance business and come home, and I've had a Rocky Mountain horse since 1973. That's a very unique breed. They were bred here and founded here in Kentucky. I have a mountain horse and some Spanish horses were mixed. Probably the only true breed there is in Kentucky. We think of the thoroughbred being the Kentucky horse, but this Rocky Mountain horse, and it gets its name. It's pretty good story about it, how it got its name, But Kentucky is responsible for it. There's about 30,000 in the world now. I've sold them in Germany, France, England, all across the states.
Now,
so I've done that to the present. I still do.
So once you got out of the insurance business there and had that first bout with cancer, you switched over. So 42, then about 45, it recurs.
Yeah.
Then what symptoms were you having, and what led up to being diagnosed then with Parkinson's? How old were you?
I was actually diagnosed in 2018.
2018.
Yeah,
So
October 2018.
almost 7 years ago. So 6.5.
Yeah. Working on 7 years.
What symptoms did you have leading up to you even going to the doctor and saying something's wrong?
My left hand had a small tremor in it.
Okay.
I went for a regular checkup, and my family doctor seen it, and he said, you need to go to see a neurologist. You may have Parkinson's.
Right.
But I had, for 4 or 5 years, I'd had problems with being slow about my buttons on my shirts.
Right.
And just little things that, that you can tell yourself that you don't talk about most of the time, and kind of go away, you know.
Right.
So how did you hear about boxing training for the first time, that it would benefit Parkinson's?
Like you touched on a while ago, I got a team of doctors out of the University of Kentucky. He sent me to them. It took me 8 months, I think, to get in to see the head of the neurology department.
Right.
Dr. Yamasaki and her team. They're a great team. I got in with them, and they suggested that I go do physical therapy. They had a program called Power Up.
Right.
So, been blessed that the local therapist went to the program, and we got qualified.
You can give them a shout out. You can go ahead and name them. Who's your local PT?
Eddie Valentine and Revolution.
Right, Revolution
Therapy.
Yeah.
Done a wonderful job. I was there today, so I come to the gym here.
So he does both,
Yeah, I do both. I go.
Is he out here in Corbin or London?
London.
Okay.
It's
So
actually got one in
how
Corbin
did you hear
now.
though about the boxing? Was it from Revolution?
The boxing, it was actually from Power Up in
Okay.
Lexington. She said, I think if you can find a boxing gym, you need to go to boxing. It's the number one. She told me, the therapist in Lexington, it's the number one therapy for Parkinson's. Well, since then, I've involved in the Parkinson's Foundation and Michael J. Fox and that program. And it is, after studies, there is boxing is the number
how
one.
did once you started the training, what did you notice different about your symptoms once you started boxing training?
Well, it started loosening my joints up. My joints was getting real stiff in my hips, my shoulders.
Yeah.
I still have shoulder pain.
Stride will get shorter, and when their arms,
get
one of the dead giveaways, when their arms swing, the arms not swinging to match the stride. The arms barely moving, but the legs are strided out. That's one of the giveaways.
I was you mentioned managing at camp, at Faith Christian Camp. I done that for 2 years, in 21 and 22, and the stress level of running a summer camp is pretty heavy.
He missed out on training like most of the summer.
I
He
give
did
all,
that.
yeah. I forewent my training and my therapy to go manage that camp.
Yeah.
It was just unfortunate we had an opening and it had to be filled, and I was on the board. But it really set me back, and it took forever.
He could barely speak when he came back after missing
Really?
about 2 months.
So this.
He could barely talk.
So
Yeah.
like,
I was shuffling my feet, just and barely could talk. Didn't have no power. I just barely could hit the mitts.
Right. He's having a hard time sending the message.
and so now, how often are you doing the classes? Is it 4 days a week, 3 days a week?
I come here 5 days a week and go to physical therapy 2 days a week. I actually went to speech therapy. We were very blessed in this community to have the availability of this.
Yes, speech therapy is difficult to get into.
Yeah, they took me right in. Dr. Alexander and Alexander and Associates, and hit right here in London. And now I'm doing it at home, and I see her once a month. And as you can tell, my voice is louder, cleaner, more crisp.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a simple exercise every day.
And that's something that bears note is that the Parkinson's guys, when they come in, they'll improve, especially with consistency. They'll improve a lot. The tremors will lessen.
Exactly.
I've seen guys that they'll freeze, like when they're walking, they just freeze, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. And you'll see that almost go away. But if they stop doing the training, it's not like a normal athlete. If they stop doing the training, they will backslide 10 times faster.
Wow.
And it'll be a severe backslide. Not worse than what they were before they ever started, but they've got to be consistent. Like 2 months there. Denny's a really good athlete, natural athlete. I had his grandson in class when I taught Spanish at the Christian school. I thought that sounded like a good retirement gig. Cop trying to teach Spanish to preschoolers. And but his grandson was so much faster than all the other kids that I would have to let him win the first race and then pull him to the side race everybody else to get some challengers, then figure out how big his handicap need to be. So Denny's actually a good test example because he's a good athlete. But at 2 months of inactivity, he barely could talk, walk. I mean, it really was devastating. So they need to be – and then the other thing you'll see is you'll take a guy like Denny and some other guys in class, somebody that's not been doing it, they'll walk in, and I know what they're thinking now, and I'll say this to them. They think, well, he don't have it as bad as I do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you didn't get to see what he looked like when he first started, right? But a lot of guys that's got worse symptoms than them when they start, that's the first thought is, well, they don't have it as bad as me. I'm like, yeah, this guy. So what I started trying to do is take some video of guys first day, like trying to hit a speed bag or something like that, so you have a reference point. But it's all about getting them, and we're all proud, right? Especially if you're able-bodied when you were younger. We're all proud, but it's getting them past their practice, just getting them in the door the first time, then getting them to do good enough, long enough to see a benefit, right?
Yeah, once you see that benefit, and then you see yourself regress back. I mean, there's no money you can't put a price on it to get back to that level where I'm at now, and hold it, stay there where it's at. I give God all the credit, but He uses His tools. I've been blessed to have that in this community. So it would be real foolish of myself not to take advantage of it, I think.
Right.
And then you're going to grandson's a high-level baseball player.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I go to all the games.
You're able to go to all that stuff.
But I've got four horses, and I walk about a 45-degree angle for a quarter of a mile to feed them and back twice a day. So I got to walk up and down that hill.
Right.
And just anything to keep me, the recliner is your worst enemy. You got to stay away from the recliner.
Let you do the things that you love.
Yep.
Right.
And keep moving. Don't sit down. You sit down.
So how many grandchildren you got?
I got 5.
So I know the 3. I don't know the other.
Amanda has 4, and my stepdaughter has 1.
Right.
In Florida.
So the 2 girls that was in Christian camp this summer.
Yeah, I had those 2, and then I've got
Little Marshall's sisters, right?
Yeah, I got one. He's got three sisters.
So I go teach boxing over there at 9 o'clock in the morning at Christian camp. Here comes both of his granddaughters. I'm talking full face of, they're beautiful girls, full face of makeup, nails done, everything, right? 9 o'clock in the morning, and just joking around, whatever. As soon as I said jump rope competition. When I said competition, all of a sudden they start asking questions. In the jump rope competition, they're good athletes too. Come down, there was 1 revolution and 30-second difference in the 2 granddaughters. They were 1 and 2 out of the whole. But they was just joking around, talking. As soon as I said compete, they wanted to know all the parameters.
Changed the whole
they changed their whole countenance, buddy. Yeah, they're competitive. All right, so let's move along now. We got the old Clay County boy sitting next to us.
Oh, Clay County.
Yeah, we got Clay County. So tell us about growing up in Manchester.
Well, I'm from Manchester, Clay County. I taught 30 years in the Clay County Public Schools.
Right.
I coached football and basketball in Clay County at the elementary, middle, and high school levels. And then I finished up my coaching career coaching softball at North Laurel as an assistant coach for 8 years. So I've been heavily involved with sports all my life.
Right. And see, we've got the connection. My family's originally all from Manchester, so he even knew my grandfather.
Yeah, I know a lot of Jerry's family.
Yeah, I could talk about my family. There's not many people I could talk about my grandpa, too. Coach Lochran.
Yeah. Coach was best friends with my uncle.
Was your uncle the school teacher or the math teacher?
He was the jeweler at Rogers.
Yeah. They used to always go in the jewelry store there on a Friday when they pick us up downtown Manchester, just hang out. And he just go to after he retired from Black Lung a little bit early, so he'd go around. Well, my grandma's working used to be Karen Spinning over here. The cookie factory was a yarn factory. Karen Spinning. So while she's working, he'd just go fish. He fished 5 days a week. And then go hang out with people, different businesses in Manchester. So school teacher, 30 years in Manchester. So how old were you when you started? Oh no, actually, he's a stroke sufferer, right? So how old were you when you had your stroke?
January 20th of 2020, I was putting the Christmas decorations in my attic out on the carport.
Right.
I was climbing a ladder and actually in the attic. And I was able to get down out of the attic and down the ladder without breaking my neck.
So you knew something. What was your symptoms that you knew?
I just kind of felt a little off, and I went in the house and walked back to the back of the house, and my daughter and wife, they were in the back room putting some stuff up. And I went to sit down on a little stool,
right,
which was kind of lower to the ground than a chair. And when I went to sit down, I kind of slid off the stool. And my daughter said, "You're not right." Said, "Something's going on with you." And of course, being hard-headed, I played it off.
Right.
And it was the next day before I went to the hospital.
Right, and they would have liked you the medication they can give you within.
Yeah, I didn't get the shot because it was too long.
Right, I think it's a 4-hour window, isn't it?
I think 6 hours, something like that.
Okay. Anybody in your family had a stroke before?
No one had a stroke, but I got a lot of good characteristics from my dad. But one of the bad things I got from him was AFib.
Okay. So did they do the genetic testing to see if you're predisposed to strokes after?
Yeah, afterwards.
Did you have that gene? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. I had a buddy in his 40s had ones, how I knew, and
yeah.
Him and his sister both. His sister had a first stroke in her 30s. And he boxed, and, of course, he's left-handed and lost the use of his left hand. He's had to learn how to do everything right-handed. So how did you hear about boxing
The
training?
man sitting over here to my left, I go to church with Denny, and the phone rung, and I've answered it, and it was Denny. And he said, "Buddy," "I know a program that I think would help you." I said, "Well, tell me all about it." And he gave me all the details, so I came the next day, and I came in on a walker, and as you can see now, I'm at least walking on a cane.
Yeah. Right. So you started out on a walker. I mean,
yeah. When I started
slow going. Yeah.
When I started this program, I was on a walker.
Right. Right. And then you've been in with us 2 years now, thereabouts.
It's going on 5.
Yeah. Wow, time. I said 2 years thereabouts. Going on 5. Wow, I would not have bet that. I knew Denny. I could tie. Judge showed up like 2 weeks after he opened, so it's easy to keep track of.
I came in October. I think you opened in April.
March.
March.
Yeah. So you're the second longest. You're second longest member. Period. We haven't touched on this yet. She couldn't be here with us tonight, but about something new with this program. About a year and a half ago, we had a PhD student reach out to us, and they were doing their thesis there for their PhD on the effects of boxing training on any neurological sufferers, and they asked if they could come in and observe, what have you. And, of course, me being the old cop skeptic, I was like, well, what is this, right? And it's actually Dr. Gooden, right, Gina,
yeah.
And she is a former professional mixed martial artist. This is a hard combo to come by, isn't it? Combo to come by. But she's a former professional mixed martial artist, works with amateur wrestlers. Right, her sons both wrestle at a high level, amateur. And then now she's got her PhD, right? She's an occupational therapist, and she works with you guys usually 2 days a week. So tell them a little bit about what that's like working with Dr. Good.
Well, she's been with educated as an occupational therapy. Gives her she mixes that in with her boxing skills.
Yeah, she does a great job of mixing.
Yeah, exactly. She does a real job of mixing it with the training of boxing and wrestling. And we spend 2 hours in the ring.
Right, on Fridays,
on
like
Friday.
11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she continuously adds new stuff to it, and she's trying to get the most motion that she can out of us. she spends a lot of time with each one of us individually, trying to help us improve range of motion with her moving her legs and our shoulders. With this Parkinson's, and I'm sure it's probably with Roger as well with the stroke, it's hard to get your brain. If you tell your brain to do something, it's hard to get it. It tells your hand to do it, but you can't get your hand to do it.
Right.
So your brain, you're trying to pick that hat up. Your arm don't want to pick it up.
Yeah.
Right. So you know what you want to do, but it's that mind and muscle connection that's severed.
Right.
at the
You're
moment.
sending the message, but there's a block there. That's why it's so important. The neurons that are functioning correctly. And you can watch, there's an episode there on Netflix talking about the human body that does the brain. They uses boxing on the one that's talking about the brain, but your brain can actually physically move neurons around to create better neural pathways.
Yeah.
So you want to strengthen all the ones you got so that a task like picking up your hat is easy. But, Dr. Gooden, she really pushes the I know a lot of their limits. I've been working with Denny 6 years almost. So I know where a lot of the top end is. When this guy's firing on all cylinders, what can he do? And she doesn't set any limits, does she?
No,
she really tries to push you guys.
She push you.
Yeah, she pushes us really hard.
And that's invaluable too, because it's just it's what we need. Push.
Yeah. And I've actually watched some of her classes. You don't want to intrude so much on other people, but I tend to stay more in the boxing and the technical boxing realm with you guys. And I'll watch sometimes on the surveillance cameras. I'll go back and watch some stuff that she's done. I picked up a few things. And I say, yeah, that's a really good idea. But we're really, I don't know of another program, even the Rocksteady, where you've got somebody with the background she's got, and then using the boxing training to benefit neurological sufferers.
Yeah, I do find that the most interesting part is people usually associate boxing and combat sports with brain trauma, but in this case, this is
fixing
actually
the brain.
This is fixing the brain.
Fixing the brain. It's amazing. It's amazing. I would have never thought my wildest dream that boxing would have been the top thing to do for a neurological disorder and retraining everything. But I'm getting really carried away probably, but I'm probably better physical shape today than I was 7 years ago before they diagnosed me. I eat better. I eat the right foods.
Right.
I get the right amount of sleep. I sleep 8 hours or 10 if I can.
Yeah.
But that's so important to do that. And then I've got the best training that's, there's no place like this anywhere in Kentucky that I'm aware of. I ask people all across the state, my doctors, they say, what, you got this in London, Kentucky? I said, yeah. I said,
My
"There's a local
doctors
guy."
can't believe we have this.
That's one thing I've learned in life. When I was in my 30s, I would turn stuff down instantaneously I didn't want to do. And I've just learned as you go through life. Like if somebody would have told me 20 years ago, you're going to start a boxing program for the youth in Lexington, right? I wasn't even thinking about that. And then you're going to come back home and open a gym. And then you're going to work with these guys that's had strokes and Parkinson's and this and that. I would have thought that was the craziest thing that anybody could ever, that would never happen. I'd never do that, right? So I've just learned as you go through life, just don't instantly say no to any opportunity somebody gives you. Think about it at least, and just be flexible as you go through life, right?
Yeah.
Have a plan,
Amen.
but have some flexibility to any plan that you've got, right? Exactly. I always say I tell my wife, don't fall in love with this drywall and 2x4 studs. If somebody got enough money, they can have it.
They don't
be
stud
flexible.
in the drywall.
Yeah, I said I'm in love with you. I ain't love no drywall.
Yeah.
Right. So just be flexible in anything because you just don't know. And then running into a guy that knows my whole family, showing up in that. I mean, that's you would have never dreamed. The people that you'll meet in combat sports. Period.
Right.
Some of the folks that you'll run into. It's just pretty amazing. And then to have Dr. Gooden along with that, it just is the icing.
Yeah.
Real icing on the cake
It
right
is.
there.
It
yeah.
is. It's great. to have it here. It is great to have it in a smaller place.
Right. So what do you think is the biggest? Because you guys know people that need to be doing it.
Exactly.
What do you think is the biggest obstacle about getting somebody to come in and come in long enough to see the benefit, make some gains?
What do you think, Roger?
People are just basically afraid to try something new. They're afraid of new.
Yeah, afraid of how they'll look,
Yeah.
and then they know.
They know they have some type of disability and are afraid that it will look funny or somebody's going to laugh at them or something.
Well, we all laugh at each other.
Yeah, that's one thing about this. We're a team.
It really is a community, and it's not just neurological. Like our noon class, it's not just neurological sufferers. We had Gene on here that was a professional boxer, and he just says, "Hey, I don't look like the Irish Animal anymore, right? I want to get in some shape." And
he looks like I think he said he looked like the Irish Animal Cracker now.
Yeah, Irish Animal Cracker. He makes fun of himself. Then we've got Russell that came. That's friends with Denny, just because he wanted to get in shape. And then Russell, 75 years old, has lost 60 pounds since he's been in here. Weighs 170.
170
This guy's 75, still doing chin-ups, dead hang chin-ups.
Cancer's butt.
Yeah, just beat cancer. He had breast cancer earlier this year. Comes in laughing about it and said, "I never dreamed I'd have to get a mammogram." Right?
Right.
Beats cancer. Just did the other day. I was letting him do a dead hang. Right? A lot of those guys can't do chin-ups like he can, so I was letting him do a dead hang. He'd been training to beat the carnival game. Russell had, right? Where you hang for
like 2
minutes.
seconds.
Yeah. Well, just the other day, less than 6 months off of coming off of beating cancer?
Yeah.
He did a dead hang the other day for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
2 minutes at 75 years old.
75.
Right, so we got some of those guys in here. Then there's a guy that's in his 50s that works at the bakery.
Yeah.
Just wants to be in some shape. So it's not all neurological sufferers, but all those guys in that noon class have a real good sense of community, right? It's a close knit bunch, and they all laugh. Somebody forgets what combination they're supposed to throw. You know, everybody will laugh, and
I was there to help each other. Like Jerry said, laughing.
Well, like the other day when he did the 2 minute dead hang, everybody was clapping and cheering. I mean, that's they're celebrating each other. Roger's left hand didn't cooperate with him as much as we'd like it to, but he did a static deadlift hold there with 135, and everybody's just cheering each other on.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just getting somebody to come in and get over that first, what they perceive might be an embarrassment, isn't it?
Right.
That's what they perceive might be an embarrassment.
You guys want to see an embarrassment, you should see me on those ropes. I'm strong, but I ain't that kind of strong, I'm not.
You was talking about getting people to come. I love talking and selling stuff, and I've tried to get everybody I come in contact with that I think it would help. I tell them about it, but it's so hard. I know with Parkinson's, it's so hard to get up and make yourself do things. You got to have a purpose. You got to get going. So
just get going.
This year to be religiously coming every time I'm supposed to be here, and to all the other stuff as well. It's so important, because that's that first step. It's easy some days for Rogers and for myself to say, "Hey, I'm gonna sit in the recliner."
Yeah. I saw some research yesterday quoted, and they said every hour you work out, the research shows you're gonna live 3 hours longer. You train 1 for 3. So I would say with you guys, you probably train 1 for 5. Right? I mean,
exactly.
Not to mention the quality. Like he said, throw that walker away, just give me a cane.
Yep.
Yeah. But now this is both of you guys are determined guys, right?
Exactly.
Hard-headed old country boys.
Exactly.
And you do have to send the strong. You got to put the work in.
Yeah.
Because your body lacks homeostasis. It likes to stay the same. That's why I tell these guys when you run the 7-minute mile, it don't want to give you a 6 unless you demand a 6.
Exactly.
Right. So yeah.
One of Roger's goals is we have a local organization that does a 5K.
I'm going to run in that the next one.
And you used to run in 5Ks, right?
Yeah, I ran all the 5Ks around this area
prior to the stroke.
Before my stroke.
Yeah. Gotcha.
5Ks. Those are 3.2.
3.2.
Yeah.
The last 2 years I've done the 5K. Run walk.
Oh man,
And we had one kid here ran the 5K. The Chicken Festival?
Yeah.
Never ran one before. One of our best kids. He never ran one before, and he runs the 5K in a hoodie, right? And he's running. He's in second place. And he said, Coach, I thought I would run the leader down like that last minute or two. He said, I thought I'd run him down. And I said, Aiden, them guys that run races all the time, they've got kicked too, right? He was waiting for you to kick, for him to kick. But he finished his second overall, and he never run a race in his life.
I was going to ask if it was Mongo that ran.
It was Mongo. Never run a race in his life, and he finished his second. He said, if I'd have started earlier, he said, I think I could have got this kid weighs his food on the scale.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. He's weighing his fruit, vegetables, everything on the scale right before he eats it. He's dedicated.
Dedicated to
5-minute miler, yeah.
I know that I came in second the first year, and this past year I won in my age group.
In your age group?
Yeah. Age group.
With Parkinson's.
With
beat all the other, yeah. There you go.
And I'm still able to do a lot of hiking with my wife, and still can ride my horses.
And going to the horses, do you train them too before you sell them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
his wife trains him. He rides. He's already admitted. She can make him lay down. Yeah. She make him turn circles.
She's a horse whisperer.
Yeah. He said he was telling me about dating before he met his wife. Was he in your 40s?
Yeah, in my 40s.
He's dating in his 40s, right? But now you realize, hey, we got to have something between us called compatibility, right? not just a physical attraction. He said this lady goes horseback ride with him and stuff, and then he had enough wisdom. He said, I know you did this, right? And I appreciate you doing it, even though it's not your thing. He said, but if you don't like horses, I ain't your man, right? Then he had to let her go, right? Yeah, so he said Penny took to the horses like a duck to water, right?
You know you got it when our first date, I took her horseback riding, and it come a cloud burst. We were like 2 miles from the trailer and the truck. So I said, let's run for it. Let's go back to the trailer. We'll wait a better day. It was pouring rain. I looked back and the rain had her. She was so wet, and that horse she was galloping that horse up this hill, and she actually beat me back to the truck. I said,
she's smiling ear to ear.
This might be the chick I hang around with for a while.
You're like, Daddy calls that a winner right there.
That's a winner.
Yeah. That's like mine. We dating and we go looking for deer sheds.
Yeah.
And there's briar thickets everywhere. And next thing I know, turn around, look, she comes out of a briar thicket. I don't know how she got that low. She goes, got one. She had a deer shed in her hand. I said, that's a winner right there.
That's a winner there.
Yeah. Winner, chicken dinner. What about you? How'd you meet your spouse?
Well, we dated when we were at Sue Bennett, and then about 20 years later, I was playing slow pitch softball with her brother-in-law, her younger sister's husband, and she came to the ballpark with them, and we hit it right back off.
So date at Sue Bennett College.
Yeah.
Don't see her for 20 years.
Yeah.
Wow. And then
just right back.
Really?
There's been a lot of marriages from them softball fields, ain't there?
Yeah.
And then for 35 years, I've been very blessed.
35.
Yeah.
And she's been very, very supportive of everything. She makes sure I get here. And that's one of the reasons I come here and work as hard as I do. I said I wasn't going to be a burden.
Right. So you want to be the best version that you can to be able to do those things with her. Yeah. Yes.
That's awesome. Now, are you still living in Clay County area?
No, I live at East Bernstedt now. That's where my wife's from.
Okay.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, Clay County is one of the only towns, the only one I've ever seen, that any word that ends in OOL is school, playing pool. You run into them out of state, you can almost say, are you from Manchester, Kentucky? Somebody came there and never left. And you went to school and you played pool and used a fool. So one last question, and then we'll call it a night. So if you had never, with your condition, if you had not done the physical therapy, had not done the boxing training, what kind of shape do you think
I very well
in?
could be whispering, in a wheelchair, definitely be shuffling my feet. I wouldn't have a stride. I wouldn't be taking care of 4 horses.
Right.
It's not all easy because there's some days that I fight getting in that chair. I think this is not originally for me, but a recliner has probably killed more people than a gun.
Right.
Yep.
People,
the body's meant to be moving.
It's got to be moving. I can sit down in a recliner, get real sore in an hour. I can get real sore in my joints. I get up and start moving around, loosen back up.
There's a reason why the day after surgery they want you to get up and start walking,
exactly.
Right?
But Jerry, I take this opportunity to thank you.
Oh, buddy,
thank
you're
you
welcome.
for helping us and
you're welcome.
providing this place that we dearly love. And I tell everybody I can about it.
Yeah. We moved gyms, too. About a year and a half ago, we moved gyms to this 8,000 square feet. And, of course, when you do that, people are used to coming certain. And I'm like, just trust me, guys. We're gonna have the room to do anything we want to do now. They can even take a shower while they're here if they wanted to, So let's move on to you. So where do you think you'd be without your PT? And
no doubt I'd be in a wheelchair.
You'll be backwards, yeah. So you don't think about that. When you start thinking about boxing, it's really coaching boxing. It's really all about your ego. It's all you think about is how many champions can I produce to show everybody that I'm better than they are, right? My daddy could whip your daddy, that kind of mentality. And you don't realize that there's a lot of different ways to measure success. Mm-hmm. If you did this and you kept one person out of a wheelchair, isn't that success?
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, we still like to have champions, right? I don't like to lose. But it gives you another avenue of measuring success other than just the competition.
A completely different aspect of fulfillment, too.
I'd like to add one thing, too, that having Parkinson's was the reason I called Roger. I wouldn't have known anything about this place.
The domino, yeah.
So it's got that effect. And just because you got a disease that you can't never get rid of doesn't mean that you can't use it to help somebody else.
Right.
And help other people or bring a cure to it. And I'm thankful that God's got me in that position. I'm the right person to do this.
Right. Yeah, no better person than somebody that's got it and say, hey, my symptoms were this when I started.
Yeah.
Right. I wasn't able to do what I'm doing now.
Exactly.
When I started, because that's a big thing. We have people come in. We had that one individual, you remember, moved from Florida.
Yeah.
And the guy couldn't even walk in. He would freeze.
Yeah.
You get an eye for it after a while. I see him in the parking lot walking toward the door. I said, there comes Parkinson's guy. Yeah. And he improved dramatically. And then maybe 6 months went by or something, then stopped coming. And it really just it hurts your heart because when they stop coming, the next time you see them, they ain't going to be what they were the last time.
No, and he wasn't. Yeah. He wasn't. I seen him after that.
Yeah, and so we'd like to see that class, especially with Dr. Gooden being involved. That class has got some room to grow because there's 2 of us doing it, and sky's the limit, really. Of course, we got good motivated patients, I think they like to say. But yeah, that's a really great group, and we're glad to have her. That's a great resource. It made it where I could take 2 days a week and go do something at noon, didn't it, when she showed up?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It helped everybody all the way around.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and wrap up. We do want to say, though, our next podcast, we're going to have the 2-time IBF champ of the world on the podcast. Let y'all do some research. I won't even drop the name. 2-time champ of the world be on our podcast, next podcast out. And then we'll probably have Preston Scott back on, now that he won the Agogi title. And he also ended up ranked number 5 in the nation, USA Boxing, on the boxing side. So he was in the gym sparring tonight. Family illness there, and they had to leave a little bit early. So we'll try to have him on next week with Van Horn and we'll be able to take Van Horn and walk from that starting as an amateur all the way up to you're fighting all over the world on TV and be able to share that experience with some of our viewers.
It's gonna be a great episode, and thank you both for coming out.
Thanks.
Both of you guys are inspirational because I've known people with Parkinson's. I've known people with have had strokes, and you guys look amazing. You guys look amazing.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So we'll just thank both you guys, and we'll call it a day.
Thank you. Thank you for
much
having
for
me.
Thank you
Yes,
for this.
appreciate it.
Thank you for this entire gym.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
very welcome. Very welcome.
All right.
All right.
That's the
We'll call it
episode.
there.
Thank you, everyone. See you next time.